What if I told you the secret to, boundless energy isn't in another cup of coffee? What if it's actually in the air you breathe or the light you feel on your skin? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a really fascinating perspective on what truly fuels our bodies.
So, let me ask you something. When someone asks how you're doing, do you ever say, yeah, all right, or not too bad? I mean, how many times have you given that exact answer? You're not sick, right? But you're not exactly bursting with energy either. You're just kind of there. Well, what if feeling just okay isn't actually okay at all?
Well, the source we're diving into today makes a pretty bold claim. It suggests that feeling of being just all right, it's often a direct result of our bodies literally starving for oxygen, right down at the cellular level. Yeah, it's a real condition with a specific medical name that, well, it might just surprise you.
Okay, so how does that even work? I mean, how can a lack of oxygen make you feel so blah? Well, it all comes down to this fundamental energy switch that's deep inside our cells. And the finger on that switch, you guessed it, it's oxygen.
See, our cells basically have two ways to make energy. You can think of it like a high-performance engine versus, a sputtering backup generator. When there's plenty of oxygen, our cells use this really powerful aerobic pathway. But when there's not enough oxygen, they're forced to switch over to this super inefficient anaerobic pathway.
And get this, with plenty of oxygen, using that efficient aerobic pathway, just one molecule of glucose generates a whopping 36 units of energy. 36, that's your body running at full power.
But what happens without oxygen? Well, that very same molecule of glucose, it only produces a measly 2 units of energy. 2! We're talking about an energy drop of over 90%. The source we're looking at argues this is the hidden energy crisis happening inside so many of us, day in and day out.
So, this state of cellular oxygen deprivation, it has a medical name, hypoxia. And here's where the source makes its most provocative claim. It argues that this exact condition, hypoxia, is the single root cause of that overwhelming, life-altering exhaustion you see in chronic fatigue syndrome.
All right, so if a lack of oxygen is the problem, the obvious question is, how do we get more of it, right? Well, the source lays out 3 keys to reclaiming our oxygen. And the very first one starts with the quality of the air we're breathing right now.
Because according to this source, not all air is created equal. Nope, it comes down to something called ions. Now just think of negative ions as the supercharged oxygen molecules. You know that amazing refreshing air you breathe near a waterfall or deep in a pine forest? That's what we're talking about. The opposite is positive ions, which the source basically describes as stale, heavy air, the kind you find in polluted cities or stuffy, closed-up rooms.
Okay, the second key to getting more oxygen into your system is hydration. Simple enough, right? But this perspective points out that what we drink can actually work against us. Just listen to this quote from the source. 1 cup of coffee requires 5 cups of water to accommodate for the dehydrating agents in the coffee. Wow, that really shows you just how crucial pure water is for transporting oxygen around your body.
But why does hydration matter so much? Well, the source describes this incredible live blood analysis. It showed that in a dehydrated person, the red blood cells literally clump together, like a traffic jam. And when they're all stuck like that, their surface area for carrying oxygen is just slashed. But when that person gets hydrated, the cells float freely again, maximizing their potential to grab onto oxygen. It's a mechanical problem with a super simple solution. Drink more water.
And that brings us to the final key, and it's a big one. It's how we breathe. The source is pretty insistent that most of us, well, we're doing it all wrong. Real effective breathing isn't that shallow chest breathing we all do when we're hunched over our desks. It's deep abdominal breathing, the kind that pulls air all the way down to the very bottom of our lungs.
So what's stopping us from breathing like that? Well, a lot of the time, it's just simple physical barriers. Hunching over a desk, that constricts your diaphragm. Wearing tight clothing around your waist, that literally stops your abdomen from expanding. We're talking about small, everyday habits that can have a huge impact on our oxygen levels.
But you know what? Oxygen isn't the only piece of this energy puzzle. The source argues there's another incredibly powerful natural element that many of us have been taught to fear, but which might be absolutely essential for our vitality, and that's the sun.
And this single quote from the source just completely reframes our relationship with it. The sun is not the enemy in the sky, it is the doctor in the sky. The idea here is to stop seeing it as an enemy we have to avoid at all costs, and instead see it as a vital source of health and, well, healing.
So how does this doctor in the sky actually work? Well, it's this really beautiful biological process. When UV rays from the sun hit our skin, they interact with a form of cholesterol that's already there and convert it into usable vitamin D. Our body literally has its own built-in vitamin factory, powered by the sun.
And why is this vitamin D so critical? Well, according to the source, it's absolutely foundational for our health. It's hailed as the anti-cancer vitamin. It's essential for our bones to be able to assimilate calcium. I mean, it's crucial for preventing things like osteoporosis. And on top of all that, it even supports brain function.
Now look, to be super clear, this is not about going out and baking in the sun for hours on end. Not at all. The source recommends sensible exposure. We're talking short, regular bursts of sun without sunscreen specifically to stimulate that vitamin D production while always avoiding getting burned. It's all about finding that healthy balance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, right? Cellular energy, the quality of our air, hydration, the power of the sun. So let's pull all these big ideas together into a simple checklist for vitality, all based on this source's framework.
All right, so here are the 4 key takeaways if you want to boost your natural energy. First, seek out fresh, high-quality air, the kind that's rich in those negative ions. Second, hydrate, 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 constantly, throughout the day with pure water. Third, fix your posture and practice that deep abdominal breathing. And finally, number 4, get sensible, short bursts of sun exposure.
So as you look at this list, the real question becomes, what's one simple change you could try today? I mean, which of these simple, powerful habits could you start incorporating like right now? Maybe it's just opening a window for 5 minutes, or taking a short walk, or maybe it's just taking a moment to focus on one single deep abdominal breath. What's your first step going to be?